everyone, and welcome to Your Broker Admin, where we share relevant updates, experiences, and ideas that help you deal with those everyday challenges. Whether you're in a support role or a solo broker newish to the industry, we're here to make your life that little bit easier. This week on Your Broker Admin, we revisit the world of Cynario as I catch up with Michael Richardson to get the lowdown on the latest updates. But before we head there, let's kick things off with your weekly bonus history bite. On this day in history, February the 25th, back in 1862, the first legal tender act was passed by the US Congress, authorising the United States note, the greenback, into circulation. The first flat paper money to be declared legal tender in America. Meanwhile, these days the Australian government is printing money like it's going out of fashion. And then in 1974, Veronica and Colin Scargill of England began a tandem bicycle ride around the world, eventually covering 18,020 miles and finishing in August 1975. Which reminds me of that one time one of our brokers worked with a client to submit an application with Heritage Bank. After the chat with Michael Richardson, we'll finish up with a quick reviews wrap-up covering the week ending the 20th of February 2026. I'm Rob Cummings, thanks for tuning in, and let's jump straight into the chat with Michael. Hello everyone, welcome to another session of YBA Chats. In the chat room with me today is Michael from Cynario, who I actually last spoke to back in October last year, at which point it was mainly an introduction to Cynario. Welcome back, Michael.
Thanks, Rob. It's great to be back with you.
Yeah, likewise. And main reason why we're sort of catching up with you is that when we spoke last, you made the comment that technology or AI technology is moving so fast that things are changing quite rapidly. So we thought it was appropriate to catch up with you and revisit what's going on in that world.
Yeah, no, it's been quite exciting. And I think to that point, I guess, given that we only caught up in October last year, seemingly quite a bit has happened over the past 4 months, which is, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure. So when we spoke last, it was mainly an introduction, I suppose, for the listeners to Cynario and myself at that point in time. And when we spoke then, you obviously we spoke about Cynario being mainly predominantly for lender policy research. You had about 35 lenders that you were associated with at that point in time. So obviously be interested to see what's happened in that space. You touched on about the fact that you're expanding into some marketing capabilities. Interested to see what's going on with that. And also you mentioned about you're actually working with some lenders directly. So curious to see where that's gone to as well. So, can you maybe update me or us about what's happening in your world?
Perfect. Okay. Let's unpack it from the top, I suppose. And a lot of your listeners is probably aware. Our biggest news to start the year was the integration and partnership with Salestrekker in 2.0. So that was something that we started working on towards the back end of last year, and at the time tried to keep it quite under wraps until we were ready to launch. But effectively, where that's gone is we've now launched or partnered with Salestrekker to launch policy AI directly within Salestrekker 2.0. And where I guess our vision with Cynario and obviously Salestrekker sharing that vision is how we can develop and integrate technology into a broker's workflow to actually help them from the start all the way through to deal submission. And where the value for brokers now through policy AI is the ability now to do all the policy research, which is powered by Cynario, within their client file, directly within their workflow. So there's no need for any users of 2.0 to actually come onto our Cynario platform. They can do everything they could on ours within Salestrekker 2.0. So that's been a very, very exciting launch for the industry. Definitely a lot of ears are pricked up. And from their perspective, they've opened up free access to policy AI within Salestrekker 2.0 until the end of March. So any brokers that are listening that are on Salestrekker, they've got access right now to try that and experience that.
So just to elaborate on that, when we say integration, so is it basically doing a data feed of the customer data and or scenario within Salestrekker into Cynario? Is that how it works?
So it sits within it sits within different parts of the broker's workflow within Salestrekker. And it's still definitely around the policy research. So it's not necessarily around anything to do with PII, but within a broker's workflow, looking in their client file, they can now do all their policy research there. So they don't have to necessarily come out of Salestrekker onto Cynario, do their research, and then go back in. We thought, given that technology is all about enhancing and improving efficiencies, we should just bring it all into one place. So this is the first time, I believe, in the industry where there's a fully integrated policy research platform within the CRM.
Yeah. Okay. And when did you launch that? I mean, I know Salestrekker's only, I think it was late last year that they launched 2.0.
Yeah. So oh gosh, prove wrong on the dates, but it would have been towards the end of January that we sort of announced the launch. So we were just working through everything with them to make sure it was up to speed and ready to go. And then we went live with them. I believe it was end of January, early February. We went live with it. So I know that they're running webinars, sort of weekly webinars to train brokers within the platform on how to use it better. The feedback that we're getting and the volume of queries that are going through, it has been phenomenal in the past month.
So this is pretty hot news then.
It is. Yes. Yeah. Very, very exciting. I mean, it's a big way to start what I feel is going to be a very exciting and big year for us.
Yeah. Okay.
What else did we? So marketing. I suppose that's another big topic that's come out, and this came off the back of us. I guess we started in industry with policy, but then also looking about what other workflows we can improve. What other things can we improve for the brokers, and marketing and sort of getting their business out there. Every broker's time poor. How do we improve that? So towards the end of last year, we launched our marketing solution, which now gives the ability for brokers to link the majority of their social media accounts. So they can link in their business Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We've now just released so they can link in their Google business profile as well, and WordPress website. And they can generate image generation and full content generation within Cynario and publish it directly to all their platforms within seconds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's been very, very exciting. And to the point, obviously, policy is just one part of the puzzle. But the other part is how do we attract new clients? How do we communicate messages? How do we be seen to be an authority in the industry? And this was our way of going, right, well, how can we bring that into Cynario as another release?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Thinking about it while you've been speaking here, obviously my cogs in my little head are turning around. So, I mean, I'm obviously running a business. So theoretically, that would probably potentially work for me in terms of where you do the marketing around regards to my LinkedIn. And if I had a Google page as a B2B, it would still work, wouldn't it? So,
absolutely. Yeah. B2C, B2B. I think the idea is just being able to create content fast and then be able to publish it. So even say for you, if you have a WordPress website, when our AI is creating content, it creates a long form blog article, which then you can publish directly to your WordPress website. So even from an SEO perspective, you're continually adding content to your websites, especially Google Business. That is probably one of the most underutilized platforms from brokers that I'm noticing within the marketing space. Is not many actually post content to their Google Business profile, which is huge from an SEO perspective with Google. Google love the fact if you're posting content to Google, Google like you a lot more. So that's something big for us.
Yeah, very interesting, Michael, because I know more brokers, I'm seeing more brokers that we deal with are going down the path of Google reviews as opposed to Facebook reviews.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing more of that. So yeah, I think you're quite right that in terms of brokers using a Google business profile and posting stuff to it, seldom I would see any brokers doing that.
Yeah. Exceptionally, but especially with Google, because obviously the more you're using Google, the more Google like you in their algorithm. So especially from a content perspective, and that's the big thing is a lot of brokers will get excited about social media and will start doing posts, but then they get busy and they get time poor, and then that sort of thing usually tapers off. Whereas our thought was, well, if we can create the content within seconds within a platform, and it can be anything. The exciting part actually is you can actually add yourself into the content. So we've built in a feature where you can upload a profile image of yourself, and then you could actually say, put me out the front of the RBA announcing the latest cash rate, and it will create the content with you in it to then post out. So it becomes a lot more personalized. And I think that's a big thing for brokers is to start leveraging these technologies to get themselves out there to increase visibility, because that's what drives leads.
Yeah, true. Look, obviously, as I was saying, it probably isn't limited just to brokers, because there's lots of support services, of which we are one, but there's obviously lots of other support services that feed into brokers or support brokers that I could see could get a benefit out of this as well.
Yeah. Well, it's showing your value to the industry. So in terms of long form articles, in terms of how you work with brokers, what value can you bring to brokers, and that is relevant across any social media platform.
Yeah.
So 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. Well, I'm glad I spoke to you today. I've learned something myself today, so it's great.
Win for everyone.
And what else? What else is happening?
Oh gosh. Okay. What else? So obviously mentioned that I mentioned to you, we're starting to work with lenders. So that's definitely firing up, which is very, very exciting for us, is to now be looking at how we can utilize our technology for lenders directly. Mortgage Easy is probably a prime example of that. So Mortgage Easy have recently launched their own AI chat interface, which is powered by Cynario on Mezi Broker. So same principle, obviously, as Cynario across broad industry. But now we're working with lenders towards having their own chat interface where a broker can log in and specifically ask about their policies. Obviously, we're holding all the data in the back end, keeping it up to date for them. But we're how can we leverage our technology to improve the broker experience for lenders? And we've got probably half a dozen now that we're talking to about different solutions that can help them achieve that. Obviously, the more they can improve the experience, the better it is for broker channel. Hopefully, the better the loan submissions, and so the flow on is positive for everyone.
So to get this clear in my own mind, so essentially what you're providing to Mortgage Easy is effectively a Cynario team or a Cynario chat service, similar to what the CBA have. So they have their Cynario team. So through this system you're setting up with Mortgage Easy, a broker could go in and basically run their scenario past Mortgage Easy and get some guidance as to whether it fits the policy?
Yes. Yeah, so within the chat, it's more around obviously their policy and product. So which Mortgage Easy products would allow me to do this, which Mortgage Easy would do this. So very similar to the effectively the type of questions you could ask Cynario from a broader lender perspective. You can now hone in specifically for Mortgage Easy products through their Mezi portal. That's been very exciting for the industry to sort of see that branch out, and how lenders are now looking at how do we utilize AI to improve our broker experience.
Yeah, well, that's right. At the moment, the only option you've got, part of doing a bit of research in Mortgage Easy is go talk to your BDM. So,
correct. And unfortunately, BDMs don't work 24/7, and that's we'd all love them to, but they do need to sleep. And that's the benefit of how we can leverage AI. Is if it's after hours, it's been fascinating as sort of scenarios scaled, is to see what times of day brokers are interacting with it. And majority would be within reasonable business hours, but we've had queries come through at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, which I'm an early riser, but I'm not that early. So to have sort of solutions built around for lenders specifically, they can ask queries 24/7.
Thanks for listening to Your Broker Admin. If you've got any feedback, questions, or a topic you'd like covered, you can now send it straight through to the Contact the Show page. The link is in the episode notes. If the link's not clickable in your player, just copy it from the show notes or head to the episode description on your phone. A rating on Apple Podcasts, a review on Podchaser, or a follow on Spotify all help the show reach the people it's built for. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn to keep the conversation going. Yeah, and I guess this would lend itself very much to, say, your para brokers, credit analysts, that type of stuff, where they just jump into, or in this case, Mortgage Easy or Cynario, and just find out all the information as part of their research process.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I guess it sort of leads in a little bit into one of the other features we've built into the site, which is our AI email. So what we were looking at, and I think across tech, there's so many platforms now, not just in AI, but obviously all the CRM platforms and broker portals and everything else. And one of the things we've noticed is there's definitely a slight app fatigue in a way that a broker's looking at their business and going, right, I need all these platforms to be able to run my business. So we've kind of looked at it and gone, right, we've spent 2.5 years building a platform that now is I guess defunct in a way, because brokers can now email our AI directly from their inbox any time of day and get policy responses just like they would in Cynario within 60 seconds to their inbox. And that's been a really interesting thing. We're definitely seeing an uptick in that from brokers that are now going, right, instead of having to log on to Cynario to get the information I need, I can just email our AI, just like you'd email a BDM, and our AI will generate a response back to their inbox within 60 seconds. And that's been that one especially has been interesting to see what time of day brokers are pitting it, and it can be crazy sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So I get the concept. So, I mean, you've been a broker. I've not been a broker. Where, from your perspective, where does that preferential to just shoot off an email as opposed to logging into Cynario itself? In your view, why is that a benefit?
I think what we've seen is more late at night queries. And I was talking to a broker the other day about this, and she was saying that it's actually been really handy to have that feature because you might be, and obviously I think there's definitely a work-life balance that we have to think of. But sitting on the couch, realize that you completely forgot to do something during work hours, and you're on your phone. Now, instead of, yes, you could log on to Cynario off your phone and do it that way, or you can literally open up your inbox, type an email to Charlie at Cynario.ai, and go, what's this? And then you wake up in the morning, it's on your inbox and you're ready to go.
Okay.
So it's sort of that sort of efficiency. So it's more, at the moment, we're seeing an uptick sort of in the after hours, like queries that way. But it's great just to have that functionality. Like it automatically saves that chat into your account anyway. So you've got a reference of it on the platform regardless.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
So cool. At least it's all there ready to go. But it's just another way that we're utilizing AI. AI is much more than a chatbot. Which is where we've really looked at going, how can we leverage the technology of AI and bring that into a broker's current workflow? And email was one of those natural progressions.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's like I said. There's, I mean, in the 3-4 months, whatever, since we spoke, there's obviously a lot going on for you.
Yeah. It's like I think it's one of those everything looks calm on the surface, and under the tail, my legs are running at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, they call them swans, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. Anything else that you need to share with us today?
Well, need to share. Look, there's a lot going on in the background, and I usually don't like teasing without being able to say anything. We've got. There's quite a few projects that we're working on now in terms of to look at how we can create even more efficiencies through policy, through different platforms and different initiatives. I'm hoping in our next catch up we'll be able to share some official news on a few things. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, absolutely. So, I mean, you and I have discussed this before in terms of the way that technology is growing, particularly in this AI space. It probably a regular catch up's almost paramount to keep up with what's going on.
Oh, I mean, this is a prime example. I think what we've, especially on the marketing side, what we've spoken about today. October last year, we couldn't do that. It's scary and exciting about how fast AI is moving. I think the real important thing for us is to make sure that we're actually providing practical and solutions that add value, not just doing AI just because. And I feel that's where, from a broker perspective, is really look at it, whether it's Cynario or whether it's other platforms, is how is it going to provide a tangible, practical benefit to you and your business? Don't just do it just because.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I see it a lot where there's a lot of companies that are using AI just because they can. It not necessarily adds any value to their business. Just AI seems to be the in thing these days. So, some very basic stuff that I don't think needs AI. You've got an AI option. So I don't really get that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely feeding into the hype of it. And look, I'm incredibly excited about AI and where it's going. But it has to provide a real benefit. Just to, as you say, just to have AI just because doesn't necessarily help anyone. So I think, as we sort of build out, what we're looking at is, okay, how can we provide tangible benefits to a broker's business, not just create another product just because it's AI and around the hype of it.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I mean, we're sort of moving away from Cynario, but I think there's, again, some of these software programs and stuff are forcing AI functions onto their users. And I must admit, people uptake this sort of new technology at different rates. And I think sometimes when I feel this way, if it's being forced upon me and I can't see the value, I'm going, well, why? Why do I need to go down this path?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other big thing with AI, and in a similar fashion to social media, when social media hit the scene, it came out an absolute firestorm. Everyone got excited, jumped on the bandwagon, throw all their photos up onto all the platforms, and then the penny dropped that now all these platforms have all my data and have all my photos, and it's almost a little bit too late. And I see that happening a lot in the AI space, especially around data security. And I think. Mm-hmm. It's one thing from a broker or anyone to be honest, to look at AI and go, right, it's going to create a certain amount of efficiencies in my daily life. But you do have to take a step back and think, where is my data going? What data am I providing? If I'm providing like PII data into a system, where is that going? Is it being redacted? Is it being deleted? Yeah. And I think that's the bit that I think needs some guardrails around it in the industry, and for platforms that do go into the PII space to really explain how they're using the data. Where is it being stored? Is it being deleted? Is it being redacted? Because that's where this is going to create an absolute firestorm for brokers, is if there's a leak. And I think at the moment there's so much hype around it that everyone is looking at AI and looking at the efficiencies and getting very, very excited about it all. But they're not taking that step back to go, okay, well, yes, this might save me half an hour, but what are the repercussions if something does go wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
And don't want to put the fear of God into everyone, but that it is a consideration that at the moment I think we're all in this hype bubble, and we just sometimes need to take that step back and just go, what are the if something was to happen, what's the worst thing that can happen? Unfortunately for us, we don't deal with PII, so
well, that's right. That's exactly, and that's one of the things I like, because I've been using Cynario since we last spoke. I've been using it regularly of late. And I like the fact that it's a scenario, essentially. I'm not putting any names or other information. It's just, well, here's some information.
Yeah.
And can you give me sort of like some potential solutions without naming names, basically? So
yeah, exactly. And that keeps a lot safer. So I think that would be my I guess word of advice for anyone looking into AI platforms, and whether that's us or anything else, is if it's got anything to do with PII, if you're putting any client information in, really take that, I guess that step to understand where it's going, how is it being used, is it being redacted, is it being deleted, and if not, really think about what you're doing first.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid warning, Michael. So for us uneducated AI users.
Well, look, I don't want to get too deep with it all, but it is I think it is one of those serious considerations that anyone looking into the AI space and for certain tools definitely needs to just keep front of mind. So just like you would with anything else to do with compliance. So.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that was great. Like I said, there's a fair bit of stuff happening there, or new updates that you've been able to share with us today. So that's great. And like I said, I'm interested in probably having a bit of more of a look at that marketing stuff you spoke about. So I potentially think there might be something that I can get out of that myself personally.
Yeah, brilliant. No, have fun with it. The marketing side's fun because you can sort of regenerate images. You can, we've set up a bit of a guide. So if you're new into it, you can sort of guide yourself through to create a prompt. We've done that within the platform. Or you can, similar to normal Cynario policy, you can just write your own prompt. Put me. I think I was at a conference last year and doing a demo, and they asked me to be put into a cowboy outfit on a dolphin in the middle of Sydney Harbour.
Right.
And funnily enough, it actually did it. So you can have fun with it. You can do obviously the more serious posts to create value, but it's there to be sort of explored. And the other thing I'd probably say is to any of the listeners, if they want to try that email feature that we spoke about, is that's open, doesn't cost anything, so they can just email like Charlie with an I at Cynario.ai and ask a policy question. They should get a response within 60 seconds. So I'd love to get some feedback on that, because it was an exciting release for us.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Well, I'm going to let you go. It is a Friday, and so the weekend's coming up for both of us. So
So close.
thank you very much for catching up. And like I said, we will do this again a little bit down the track with another update. Have a great weekend, and until we catch up next time. Thanks, Michael.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rob. Cheers, mate.
Now let's get into this week's reviews wrap up for the week ending the 20th of February 2026. It was a bit of a slow news week, to be honest. Nothing to report in terms of rate reductions or new lending opportunities. We only had a small number of client conversations, and none of them resulted in movement from a pricing perspective. That said, the conversations themselves are still worth talking about. Here's one example. This was a St. George owner-occupied loan that settled back in 2023. We completed a review 12 months ago, which returned a no-change outcome, as they were already on a competitive rate. This year's review yielded the same result. We called the client to confirm we had completed the rate health check and do a general check-in. The client mentioned they had paid the loan down to almost zero at one stage, then redrew the funds to complete extensive renovations. New roofing, a huge patio area, around $90,000 spent on the kitchen and garage under the roof pitch, new flooring throughout, and adjustments to the patio pitch to improve the view. They indicated they should be moving back into the house shortly. We discussed the no change outcome and the upcoming RBA rate increase. They're comfortable with the position and happy with both the loan and the broker. No questions, no concerns. They simply expressed appreciation for the call. Nothing dramatic, nothing particularly exciting in terms of review outcomes this week. But once again, another client thanking us for completing the review and checking in with them. The other thing worth noting, and something that often goes unsaid, is that clients are not particularly fussed that it's someone other than the broker making the call. As long as the service is consistent, professional and proactive, that's what they value. It's not about who makes the call, it's really about whether the call gets made. Thanks for listening to Your Broker Admin. If you've got feedback, questions, or a topic you'd like covered on the show, you can now send it through via our Contact the Show page. The link is in the episode notes. If the link's not clickable in your player, just copy it from the show notes or head to the episode description on your phone. A rating on Apple Podcasts, a review on Podchaser, or a follow on Spotify all help the show reach the people it's built for. I'm Rob Cummings, and this has been Your Broker Admin, for those who like their process neat.